Welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the world. It's I, John B. N,
Kanika.
aka
Yeah.
In Too Much Podcast. Rescripting the culture one conversation at a time.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Just I guess winding down this little vacation we had.
Yeah.
Ready to go back and earn my keep.
Oh, okay. You trying to go back and earn your keep? All right.
I guess we had been out for a long time.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Since last Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We were off Thursday and Friday.
Oh, yeah. That was nice of y'all.
Mm-hmm. So, anything you looking forward to this week?
This is the last week of taking the kids to practice. I'm glad about that. Nothing else really. You?
Nothing that I could think of. Just continuing the plan of improving. That's it. Nothing in particular though. You know what? A friend of mine, he put me up on this book. I can't even think of the name of the book, but it's about Taoism, and it's just talking about different elements that can improve people's perspective in life if they just looked at it differently. And I really feel like that book has been talking to me more, although I've read it before, not read it. I'm familiar with a lot of the Taoisms, and I realized that I practice a lot of them already. So that makes me feel really good, you know, that reflection period of when you weren't there. You know, he was like, it'll be good to practice something, and then now I'm doing this. So yeah, it's pretty good. So
that's good.
Yeah. So what's on your brain?
Okay, so we live in Michigan, and there was today, I don't know what it was about today. We were outside and it felt like the snow was attacking us, and it was like the coldest it's been in a minute. So those who are familiar with what's going on in Michigan recently, there was a article that came up, or a news story that came up, of this mother. Her own mother, and I think 3 of her children, she's homeless. And she's been living out of her car. They went into a casino hotel parking ramp, and she parked there and just tried to run the car all night to keep heating the car for them to sleep. Well, the car ran out of gas, and I don't know how long it had taken before she woke up, but 2 of the children passed away due to hypothermia. It's like a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old or something like that. And there were two interviews that they did. One interview they did with her cousin, and her cousin was like, she did everything she was supposed to do. She went to the state, she applied for all this stuff, and nothing was really working out for her. Now they're interviewing this cousin and an older family member in front of a house. Then they interviewed the father of the children. And so the father of the children said, you know, she never asked me to take the kids. She never asked me to take the kids. He was like, I've taken them and had them for a certain amount of time. Like, I watched them, but she didn't ask me to take them. And I think the interviewer was like, did you know that she was homeless? And he said, yes. And so in my head, I'm thinking, if we're not together and I know that you cannot secure a home and you have the children, I'm going to be like, okay, well, at the very least, you don't have to ask me if I shout the kids. I'll be like, well, if you don't have nowhere to go, then bring them here to me. Especially if I already have a relationship where you know, he said that he's already watching them or he's seen them. So I would be like, you know, come to me, because it's easier for one person or an adult to get into a shelter or maybe stay on somebody's couch than have a bunch of kids coming over. And so it made me feel some kind of way. And I know that there could be a lot of circumstances that led to the family not really knowing how bad it was. Maybe they knew she was just applying for stuff, but they didn't know she was sleeping in her car. I don't know what they thought. They could have thought she was staying with friends, she was staying in shelter, she was staying in a motel, whatever the case may be. But it brought me back to another conversation where there was a man, the woman he was dealing with was kind of trying to expose him. You know how you had women will have, and whoever will have a conversation with somebody, and when they're trying to expose them, they just kind of record the conversation. And so she was saying to him, I just don't understand why you're paying your baby mama's rent. And he said, well, she lost her job. And if I don't pay her rent, then she and my kids don't have anywhere to live. And she was like, yeah, but I still don't understand. She's an adult. So why are you paying her rent? And he was like, well, right now, she doesn't have any money because she just lost her job. So I'm going to help to pay her rent so that my kids have somewhere to stay. It's like either I do it this way or they stay with us. Well, I just don't understand. And in my head, I'm like, she just keeps saying, I just don't understand. But if it were her, and I said this, I think, in one of the other podcasts we did recently, where I was like, you have to look at when would this have been an okay situation for you? Like, yeah, you don't like it that he's doing it for your his baby's mother. But if it were you and you had your kids and you lost your job, and recently we've talked about a lot of people losing their jobs since the new president has come in, a lot of movement and unexpected job loss. Wouldn't you hope that somebody would be like, I'm not going to let y'all be out on the street? Like, yeah, you would hope if you could financially do it, if he could financially do it. And so I guess it was really getting me because you have one man who was like, well, if she would have told me she needed me to take kids, I would have done that. I knew she was homeless. Then there's another guy that was like, before they become homeless and they don't have a roof over their head, I'm going to put this money over here so that they can stay, and usually I guess you would ask the woman how she feels about that. But I know that you talk to a wide variety of men in many different situations. I've known men that talk about child support like that's supposed to be end all be all. If I paid the child support, then that's all I'm responsible for. Mm-hmm. What do you think about either of the men? What are your thoughts about looking at the two men and where you would fall?
All right, the first one, I don't believe him. I think it was easier for him to say that. If you know your ex-lady is homeless and she got the kids, why didn't you offer it up? Hey, why don't you let me keep the kids until you figure it out? Talking about he knew she was homeless, but he didn't know that the kids was like that. So in my head, it was just...
Now I want to pause here because you often say, well, if the man didn't know, he didn't know.
You're right, but you said that he knew that the kids, hold on, let me see. He knew that the mother was homeless. Mm-hmm. So if you know that the mother is homeless, then the kids are.
Well, when you talk about how men don't respond in a certain way because they don't know that that's...
I don't think
as a man. Or
no, that I don't think that's one of the cases. I don't think he knew how serious it was. If he knew that this was a possibility, he would have offered something up. A lot of times in my mind, when things really hit the fan, it's because whoever could have changed something had no idea that this scenario could have happened. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think, like I wouldn't have, well, why didn't she tell me? You knew she was homeless.
Right.
You said that out loud. So if you know that, it's like you just stop thinking at that point, or you're waiting for her to like humble herself to say, hey, I'm in trouble.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's very difficult for me to figure out how I'm supposed to side or empathize with this guy other than the fact that he just didn't know enough. Mm. The second guy, I would like to be that person. I would like to be able to take care of my kid's mother, even if it didn't work out between us. It's almost like that was a fairy tale relationship where he's able to do that, and then he's with this woman that doesn't understand. So when I'm listening to it, a woman that doesn't understand why he should be doing it is a woman that's insecure from him. Like if she thinks that he's a stand-up guy, she doesn't worry about that. She was like, shoot, them your kids.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't convinced her enough to be like the way we broke it down. Like if he was that kind of guy, she wouldn't even be having that conversation because she knew what kind of guy she has.
Well, I like how you said that. Is like if you know you have a stand-up guy, that's the kind of guy you want. A guy that would, care on that level. If she knew if she had a man who had that type of character, then it'd be like, oh.
Or she doesn't know what it looked like, and she's just going off of hearsay or past experiences of what people talk about. I wouldn't do that. You can't do that. You know, you're not really thinking about if he's able to do it, are you really going to stop him taking care of his kid?
Right. And what I think it's not about the kids. It's the mere fact that it's the woman.
No, it's taking care of the kids because she's doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like.
Well, I'm saying that's her beef.
Yeah.
So he was like, look, either I do it this way or they move in with us.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that case, like the conversation I recall, he was just saying, I can't leave the mother out in the cold. She's the mother of my kids and she has been their caregiver. Like, what does that look like? If I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll take the kids and then you just go figure it out. If I am trying to hold on to an apartment or a home that I have with the kids and all of their things, him taking the kids into his home and then letting her still lose those things, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, like that destabilizes the children's lives too.
For sure.
So I understand. And I think it's great. I agree with you. If somebody had the financial means to be able to be like, look, I need to help so that they can make it, I would hope that most women would be able to be like, I get it.
Where are you?
Right. You know, I think part of me, because of the social worker part of me, I'm always thinking of everybody as a unit. So I would understand the need to help the mother in order to keep the kids' life stable. But remember, we always hold people to a higher standard than ourselves. And a lot of times we say what we would do, and in the moment, that might not be what we do. However, I think that there have been times where I've seen helping the people like exes or not exes. What do I want to say? When we were younger, we were not committed at all. But when we were younger, John used to have other friends that either in the past they had been involved or whatever the case may be. And he was like, you know, they're having a hard time with this, that, or the other. And I would understand, I would know something or I would have information or whatever. And he would say, could you help me to help this person to do this? And I did. I did it. I didn't let him know how like I was like. But in the end, I promise to goodness, Black women succeeding, it will always, it be trumping for me. So I'd be like, okay. Because if I have something and it's not going to take from me for them to have it and to succeed, then I'm going to do it because I want them to be okay. So if they need help with this paper being edited or whatever, ready for your degree program, if you need help with getting into, you know, passing this exam or getting, I will be willing to give that information because it doesn't take from me for someone else to get. Now, I don't know if this woman felt like it was taking from her, but in the end, I would never want, say you and I were in that situation, I would never want your kids to look at me as the person that had a part in their mom losing everything or their life being destabilized when it could have been okay. I can't be the one that's going to rip apart people's situation like that. So for me, thinking about my values and my belief system and my past experiences, though it was not as deep as this one, I feel like I'd be like, oh, okay, that's what you have to do. Then that's what you have to do. Because I ain't going to be the one. They're going to be like, oh, nasty Kanika. It's her fault.
You know, I'd already thought about it before I asked you. I already knew. Look, there's parts of you that I think it's more in Black women, but Black woman is a easy no-brainer for you. But I think you just like helping people.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So to me, I was like, now if I was a dirtbag or whatnot, he was like, I could see why it would prevent you or why it would be very difficult for you to be like, go on and do it anyway. But I think overall, you don't want to prevent somebody from having a chance at a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm if there's anything that has to do with some children in it, I'm definitely I will go with the side that's going to help the kids to benefit the most. But I also, Black women, they'll get me every time. I mean, as long as it's not hindering me. If it's not hurting me, then what does it do? If it doesn't take from me, then what is it? However, I don't know the history of that man and that woman and their relationship, that woman and that man and his history with this mother, if there was anything. I don't know any of that stuff. However, to me, the children are what changes everything. The children is what has to take the petty stuff out, in my opinion. But of course, this is an untested opinion for me. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, kids change the whole situation.
Yeah, I guess I would hope that everybody would make an intelligent decision, but a lot of times emotions is tied up and
Oh yeah.
bad practices, behaviors from previous situations causes people to make the worst decision and not to consider other people, let alone some kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I can see how some decisions can be easier than other depending on the mindset of that person, because I was thinking like with you, what would it take for you to not do it? It was like, it'd have to be really a bad situation where it's like you waited and it was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Maybe if I was more whatever in the future, but right now I can't see myself getting over it. I'm like, what would that look like? Because you do have a very kind heart. You're very empathetic in the most part. Even when you're getting the short end of the stick, I think you found your way to find reasoning why another person would not make your decision made.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I try.
You do.
I do. And there have been times where the theory has been tested lightweight and like, oh, okay, I pulled through on that one. But sometimes, the hard thing about that is being the bigger person does not always feel good. And if there is insecurity, like you said, like if there was some stuff going on where it made her not really trust exactly why he's motivated to do this, is it like that would make it much harder. Um, Circling back to the initial, the first guy, I don't know. I guess my thing about kids is I feel like kids should make everybody, even if somebody, how someone would tell you, oh, I don't give money to panhandlers because they probably X, Y, and Z. I remember someone, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, look, the job is, what it is that if somebody asks you and they say they have need and you give, it don't matter what happens after it.
You push out the universe to
Yeah,
take care of whatever they said.
yeah, it was your intention to help. So whatever happens after that happens. And I guess I just feel like when kids are involved and people tell you, I need help, I need this, I need that, I'm going to try to help for the sake of the kids. Like, regardless of what your background intention is, I will try to tailor what I'm doing so that it has to help the kids. Mm-hmm. Like if they're asking, for money to feed the kids, then let me go take you to get groceries. So I know that the kids have adequate food or whatever. Or I'll go take the kids to go get some coats, or I'm gonna order some coats and have them delivered to the house, whatever the case may be. And some people may not like that, but I still want to help. You told me what your need is. Sometimes I feel like based on our relationship, I may not trust exactly what you're saying, but I'm not gonna let them kids go cold or not eat. Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at the man saying I knew she was homeless, but she ain't asked me to do nothing. And then there the cousin and the other family member that we're talking about, she did everything that she was supposed to do. I wonder how much they knew about her situation that she was in a car. Did she feel comfortable talking to her family and saying, look, I'm in a car? Like, okay, well, then y'all come over here and just sleep here tonight or whatever. I know I've had a cousin that was in trouble. And my mom was like, look, I'm about to take you to go get this hotel room. And
no, but how long does that last?
Right. Until you can figure out what's going to happen next. It wasn't for forever. Like, Birdie wasn't going to do all that. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody may not even be able to do that.
Yes. But I think that the limitation there is And I want to say that this woman was just saying, you know, it's hard because you have all these kids and they make noise, and not everybody wants to take a family of 5 into their house indefinitely if they don't have a home. So the mother was just trying to do what she could to keep everybody together and manage what she had. She didn't have any more money to be in no motel. She didn't have any of that. So she was just trying her best, and she lost her kids. And I don't know. I guess I just feel like, what does it look like to help? Like, I don't know how much she asked for help in her family. I don't know. I guess it all got me. Number one, because it's 11 degrees outside and the snow was smacking me in the face. And I was telling John when I got in the car, I was like, I feel so bad for anybody who's homeless tonight. Because I mean every night. But right now, feeling how uncomfortable it was for me to walk from the car to the door of a store. I just couldn't imagine being out and trying to find a way to get out of the way of that wind. And there's some people where it's not just them, it's their family. So, I don't know. I don't know. There's 2 sides of the story, 2 sides of a concept. Like, someone who helps to make sure that those things don't happen, and then the people who are standing there that didn't necessarily extend the opportunity to house a homeless family, and then what happens.
Just imagine that father, the first one, who was like, I didn't know it was that serious. My mama did that a few times and he found a way.
And you know, that's the other thing, is that a lot of men who were raised by resourceful women who were on their own, they saw their mom literally make ways out of no way. And the expectation is, why can't you do it for all these other women? And some women just don't have the resources or don't have the hustle to get some of these things done on their mother's hands, or they ran out of chances. Like, you could have used up those opportunities, and sometimes people cut them off because they be like, you ain't figured it out yet. And then they're
tough love was going to help them grow. And then it was at the expense of the kids.
Yeah. Because all the time I mean, you know, sometimes people do think it's tough love. Nah, we got to do it this way because she needs to figure this out. But at the expense of the children.
Tough love only works for the ones it works for.
Yeah, I guess. And that ain't everybody.
It is not.
But
it's trauma for most.
Yeah, but I think that that's another thing. This is an extreme situation in which that comment is true, when guys would be like, my mom did this, that, and the other, and we were fine. So I figured she would be able to do that.
It might not even been fine. They just like, we pulled through, and they was resilient as kids.
Yeah, as kids, they didn't even realize, because a lot of times kids are going through stuff and they don't really know the extent of everything they're going through until they get older. And sometimes if having chaos and fires in your life are consistent, you become desensitized to that, and it's normal.
It's right, yeah.
Well, you be like, oh, you should be able to figure that out. You couldn't figure out how to do this.
Everybody go through that.
Yeah.
That don't mean you're supposed to.
But I know. So, yeah, you know, I guess I'm just thinking, you know, prioritizing the kids. I know that it's difficult for relationships when you're blending families and you have exes and exes with children and stuff like that. But I guess that's another conversation you got to have with somebody about, what are their limitations when it comes to the family you created before y'all met. Because having those conversations could really help put a halt to certain things. Because I had a friend who was dating a guy, and the guy used to do all kinds of stuff for not only the child support, but he would go get the kids a lot. If there was extra money needed for the house, he would send the money or whatever, or give the money to her. Their relationship was pretty good, and he was better off than the mother. But the friend was kind of like, why I got to be all that? Like, he shouldn't have to do it. He does.
Because they haven't said what I was supposed to look like.
Yeah, but if they had that conversation and explicitly said, look, I'm going to let you know, I fully support the household that my kids are in. Not financially,
you don't know so as a man, I'm telling you that I wouldn't know that I would have to say that to a woman. I would think that a woman would appreciate that I am doing these things. Like, you know what? All these things that they say about me and you, I wouldn't think that I'm bothering you.
Yeah, yeah. But with some women, I think.
Oh, I get it now. Just hearing you say that, I would have never thought that I was bothering the woman that I'm with.
Yeah, because women may be coming into this relationship with previous situations where the man was still involved with the woman.
Oh no.
That's why
for sure
that way.
No, I get it.
It was
but I'm saying as a man, he was like, don't be using your past relationship experiences against me.
Yeah.
But so I don't like, a lot of times people don't think that they bring their past experiences with them, but they do. So as a man, I'm thinking like, don't hold that against me. But
Yeah.
you are, and I don't know you doing it. But like I said, I'm thinking you thinking like I got me a good dude.
Yeah. Well, there was a time when well, even in this we've talked about it, but I remember there was a time when you and I were not having the best time in our marriage. And I had another friend who was kind of parallel in the same place. And we were like, it was back in when you thought you were going to start a business just out of nowhere. We're like, let's start these cards where you put all the things you should ever ask your partner, things we wished we would have said so that it wouldn't have come smacking us in the face later, and things we would have explored. And then later on, when you came back from Abu Dhabi and we started talking about what are the things that we should have talked about before we got married. There are things you're supposed to talk about before you even start kicking it with somebody.
Before you even start liking them, because
Yeah.
you get in a relationship with somebody and you like them, and it's too difficult after you find out the red flags. They were there the whole time. You were like, oh, I can't leave this person because you like them. And then you feel committed, or you feel like it's a responsibility. Like they shared something with you.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to know this at the beginning and be like, do I have the capacity to deal with this?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's you don't know you're supposed to have these heavy conversations in the beginning because you feel like it's too heavy for what we are right now. But when things start moving fast, and y'all ain't talked about how you may support a whole other household, and she got a background where that didn't work out well. Now where are y'all? So now you love somebody and you're hurting them because you're taking care of other people you love. It can get stinky. But I think that's a really good thing for people to talk about when they're getting into a relationship, so that men can be honest about how they support the families they've created. So women aren't taken off guard and then feeling like it must be some other stuff going on or feel some kind of way about it. And then he doesn't feel uncomfortable having to explain to somebody who's upset about it. So it's really to protect both people, and in the end, the children, because the kids always matter.
But look, that is the only reason why you push in a relationship.
Why you push?
But you want it to work, because they didn't have any say in it at all. And people was like, you shouldn't stay for the kids. That is the only reason why you stay, because if you believe that energy attracts energy, that person was there for you. So you guys were supposed to go through this journey together. And I know you used to you can find your person with somebody else, but who gets the short end of the stick are those kids.
Now, I would say that that's not always true, because if you were really poorly matched, if you were matched off of some nonsense and then you ended up together, sometimes being in a family with two people who are unhappy is harder for the kids than being in two separate households with two happy people.
I mean, it sounds good. I mean, like, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that I've never met a kid that thought that their parents were better apart.
I did.
Not as a kid, you did it?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there's an exception. I'm just saying that kids want their parents together. And if you know some kids that say, I could tell they were special, because I've never met a kid until they got older and was like, you know what? I could tell, but I wanted my parents together. All kids want their parents together. So if you got an example like that, like, I'm just referring to.
Yeah, and I understand there are kids that they want their parents together by any means. And if you grow up in a home where there's a lot of arguing and that's your normal thing, and you think that's what happens anyway, you want your parents together because they're your parents. Yeah, I understand that. Me personally, as a younger kid, my mom was just unhappy.
Yeah, but
I didn't want her.
something happened to that point. But my point is, there was a point where you didn't want them to be apart. It wasn't like you just.
Oh, when I was little, yeah. I mean,
That's
I
what I'm
didn't think
referring
that
to.
that was a concern, but I didn't think that that was the issue. But when there was a conversation about there being a divorce, there were two. When we were younger, there was one, and I was like, okay, because I wanted her to be happy. And then the second time it really happened. And then when it was over, my mom really was, she was a different person. And that taught me afterward that kids don't necessarily thrive in homes just because they have two parents. They have to have two parents in there that are parenting and actually showing a good reflection of what it's supposed to be. Being in a house just because there's men and women in it and they're making stuff like they're paying the bills and they're existing.
It's better
What
than
is that?
being separate.
Well, what do you mean, like financial or modeling?
I'm only referring to the kids. So you say you care about the kids. So in my mind, I'm only thinking about the kids. These adults may not get along. I get it. But they leave, these kids have to learn a total different life. And it's going to be two different households. So there's nothing resilient about a kid going through that. You just hope for the best.
Well, I think the same thing if they're in a relation in a home with an abusive.
I know, but I'm saying
Dysfunctioning.
I'm not saying that those relationships aren't healthy. I'm just saying as a kid, you don't know that they're not unhealthy. That's just what mama and dad do. But who's to say the next day that something happens where nothing like that happens ever again? If they're apart, it's over. That's like, it's like like I said, a butterfly effect where kids are gonna have to deal with poor decisions of their parents.
Well, I think that they deal with poor decisions whether the parents are there or not. I know what you're saying, that there are definitely going to be there are going to be things that impact them because they're in a one parent household or they're children of divorce. But I don't think that every child of divorce has to be just so resilient to make it. I think that there are kids that are in a household with two parents and it was trash the entire time. And
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that no kid wants to grow up in a single parent household. None of them.
Yeah, no, I don't think that they were like, I want to be in single parent. I think that the thought would be, if a kid did have any thought about it, it would be, I just wish my mama was happy. I just wish my dad was happy. I don't think that it's necessarily about separation or not, but I do believe that there are times when marriages end and the kids come out better because of it, because now their parents can be in places that feel more peaceful and they in turn can be better parents.
It sounds good. That's all I can say. Like I'm just saying, like, as you get older and you look back and you didn't work out, you look back and say, dang, I wish it could have worked. Somebody in this party, in this relationship, like, what could I have done differently to not be here? Because none of them say, you know what? I'm glad I got in a relationship and had kids with you and it didn't work out because I ended up finding my person.
No, I don't think that anybody does that.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I think everybody gets in thinking that they're with the person. No, I'm not even gonna say that. So I know that there are some times when you're just messing around with somebody, you don't have any intention of doing anything more than what y'all are doing. And a baby comes into the picture, and like I always tell my boys, once you have sex with a woman, she decides the rest of your life. Because if she has the child, she has the choice of having the child or not, and then you are responsible for whatever comes after that. And so in that relationship, she may have been feeling you, infatuation, whatever the case may be. You had no intentions of being with no woman like that. And so now here y'all are, and you're trying to make it work, and you're half-assing everything because this isn't where you want to be. You're not giving the best example to your kids because this isn't where you want to be. And then when you come out of it, if you ever come out of it, you both have grown up, you both have matured, you both figured out what you want out of somebody. Because when we're younger, we think we know what we want out of our partner. And then we grow up and we be like, that wasn't even important. That wasn't even important for me to want. You know what I'm saying? And then you leave. Now, I'm not saying you leave to be in a relationship with anybody else. Maybe you do and you find a better match and your kid can see you grow up with that better match and be like, this was the model that they were supposed to give me. Whatever the case may be. We don't always enter into families and make family units with the intention of this is who I wanted to be with. And I'm
without a doubt
to be with this person.
for sure.
So I can't expect it to be super successful when you're coming in on some her booty look fat. And so that's why I'm okay. So now
that's a lack of guidance.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. All of the messaging.
As a kid, if you make those decisions as a kid, I'm talking about as an adult.
No, I'm saying, and these adults had a kid and they're raising a kid and the kid is watching all of this. And that's who I'm talking about. I'm saying if you're a child in a home with people who chose each other off of criteria from a young kid's perspective.
That's a tough perspective. That's a tough place to be.
So in the end, if that dysfunction ends because y'all weren't even matched appropriately, and you could only imagine how difficult it could be to be people that never intended to be together. You were only physically attracted to them. There was nothing about y'all that was compatible otherwise.
It's a tough place to be.
It is. And you're raising kids and you're supposed to be the model of what they're supposed to have when they go out into the world and create a relationship. Then they become the same people that we were talking about. So.
No, I get it. And no, I was just saying.
I know.
No, I was saying like not as kids. I know young, but when you're an adult, whatever age that may be, you get somebody pregnant that you're not supposed to be with. At some point, the responsibility has to I have to make this work. I could see before, if you're still making immature decisions as far as the way they look and you get them pregnant, you're of age to be to make sound decisions. That's even more tough place to be.
So yeah, if you're 17 and you get together, you be like, we got.
I'd say 21 and under, 22 and under. That's still a kid. All right, then 26. But I'm saying
But then you got people who are 30 and they think like they're 19.
That's what I'm saying.
So can we really even put an age on it? It's about maturity.
It is. And I guess ultimately if you get somebody pregnant after a certain age, you have enough information where it can't just be looks. There's something else. Yes, I know, but I'm saying, well, then you can't expect those kids to get the best potential so that's all I'm saying. That's those kids don't have a shot.
Unless they are themselves, like we've talked about before, there's some kids that look at their parents and be like, I'm never going to be like that.
I know, but they're still miss something.
Yeah,
that's what and I don't want that to happen, for sure. At the end of the day,
with all that being said,
you don't mind people helping the parents of your kids if they're in a tight situation and if it's not going to compromise your family.
Right.
There should be an honest discussion where if it's not hindering and I can help, my partner should understand this is for me.
But yes, I agree. And that's coming from a place where you're financially able to do that.
Yeah, if we're going to struggle and cause you to be upset, hold up.
I mean, you can take the Oreos out of my mouth, but you can't take the basic protein, vegetables, and starches. If we got to scale back on some things,
luxury,
some luxuries, but it's different than taking food out the mouth of our household. That's different. And even with that, I think that there could be some creative problem solving. But yeah, I go with what you said.
I think that all of the baby mamas I had before you, I wish that they got pregnant because you were so. No, I do not have any other fears. No kids.
Trust me, because I was asking questions. I was look. Are there others? What's happening? But yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
All your past potential baby mamas.
Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here? Face.
No, not at all. Well, you know what? I just hope that Everybody helps. Help. That's what I'll say. I think that there are going to be people even more than before who are maybe more financially strapped. You may have the impression that they could do more than they can. If they're asking for help, I err on the side that they probably need it. Help them if you can. So that would be my only parting message.
You know, I really believe that the village is real. Like it takes a village for everybody to be able to get a little bit of everything because no particular family has it all.
No.
And everybody's experience within your group of people is your experience if you get the message. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose.